In this episode, Golden and I discuss the Atom Project. Full speed ahead.
The Omega Beam. Full power. The Omega Beam.
Welcome to the Omega Beam number 168. I'm your host, Oren Merton. Ryan Reynolds has already had a massive hit in the Netflix original Red Notice, and now he's got another big hit on Netflix with the Netflix original The Atom Project. The Atom Project is sci-fi, which means it's ripe for us to talk about on this podcast. We start spoiler-free and then go into spoilers, so be warned, and let's get going. I am here with Golden to talk about the Netflix movie, The Atom Project. It was one that I think we saw maybe the Netflix trailer and saw Ryan Reynolds and we're like, oh, yeah, okay. But it wasn't necessarily a movie that we were jumping to see. It just looked fun. So we thought, yeah, we'll get to it. Well, we got to it. And what'd you think?
It was just fun. I mean, I heard it was a fun movie. It wasn't anything that was going to be mind-boggling or deep thoughts. And it's Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, which is just fun.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, this is, again, not a spoiler to the trailer. This is a time travel story that Ryan Reynolds goes back, and one of the characters is himself as a boy. Another character, played by Mark Ruffalo, is his dad. And so it's not hilarity ensues, but it's sweetness ensues. And there's action, of course, quips up the wazoo, because you not only have Ryan Reynolds doing his traditional Ryan Reynolds, but because his character is also shown as a boy, you have this 12-year-old boy also doing Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
And
doing it pretty well.
Yeah, doing it pretty well. And so it's like quip. You know, it's quip du jour. There's just quips all over. And they're done well. And I mean, this isn't, there's nothing mean-spirited about this at all, even though there is a big bad and a villain and a plot and all the rest. There's nothing mean-spirited, even when the characters are being cynical or snarky. And it is, like you said, it's just a warm, enjoyable movie.
And I think, I enjoyed Free Guy, but I think I kind of just had more fun with this movie.
Okay.
And this is the second one that they did together, because Sean Levy is the one that, Ryan Reynolds worked with him on Free Guy.
Oh, cool.
And apparently,
nice.
on the day of release, it was announced that he's going to be directing Deadpool 3.
Yeah, I now that you say that, I remember reading that. I just forgot about it. But yeah, fantastic. And yeah, they clearly have a great relationship. I mean, Ryan Reynolds probably couldn't do a bad performance if he had to, but Sean Levy has, in these two movies, gotten absolutely wonderful, nuanced performances out of an actor who I enjoy the hell out of, but nuance is not necessarily his forte, and yet I think he gets it. He gets it out of him. So no reason to go too long in the non-spoiler section. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on Netflix. Go ahead and watch it. It's not long. It's an hour and 46 minutes. It's got a cast of supporting characters you know and love, Jennifer Garner and Zoe Saldana. And, it's just it's a fun cast, known faces. The special effects are wonderful. The music is good. The stunt direction and the action is good. And you'll smile. And as many professional reviewers who have done this have also said, there are going to be moments that are surprisingly moving. And I don't say that because you're going to be crying your eyes out and not knowing why, but I say that because you don't expect a movie that is this kind of just, light, feel-good movie to have like real feels in it. But it does, and they land. And that's not nothing.
And as you know, I like the little trivia on IMDb.
Sure.
So when they're playing ball at the end, one of the trash cans has a Deadpool sticker.
There's not a ton of spoilers that I want to get into about this movie, but 3, 2, 1 spoilers, just in case there's any you want to talk about. I did enjoy the scene of a very, one of the things we learned late in the movie is that the adult Adam has been beating himself up over how terribly young Adam treats his mom.
Yeah.
And I loved the scene where adult just sits in the bar waiting for his mom. And without telling her who he was, he just tries to say that she's okay. She's not screwing up. Her son knows how she feels about him, all this stuff. And it's a sweet moment. And he does get so specific. And I like the way that they did this. She does kind of at the end of it think, he knows too much about me. And which makes sense. I mean,
well, he was being kind of generic.
Right. He was being kind of generic, but at the same time, she got it. But I thought that, again, scenes that move you, you don't expect something like that in a movie like this, but it was there and it was done very well.
Did you like at the end of the movie where she's studying or lecturing computational linguistics?
Like the first thing when she said that, I was like, oh, so she's training to be Lieutenant Uhura. But yeah, like you pointed out with Deadpool, this movie is done with a wink and a smile.
It was also, like I said, he says when they go to see his dad for the first time and he's lecturing, and Mark Ruffalo's character tells someone, oh, I like your shirt. And just quickly, I'm like, oh, it's a face-off shirt. And that's what it was.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Kind of just, going back to someone being someone else and pretending to be someone else.
Yeah. It's the science in the science fiction is very dubious and convenient. So if you're the kind of person who, if the science fantasy gobbledygook isn't realistic enough, you get a little bit bent out of shape about it. This is more of a Doctor Who kind of time travel than a hard sci-fi plausible thing.
It's just a fun one. And when at one point during the movie, we were like, okay, well, how are they doing with time paradox? And they had a really neat way to do it. They said, your memories will reconcile.
Right.
Your memories will decide what needs to be put in place so that time is ordered.
Right. Which, probably doesn't make a lot of actual sense, but it worked perfectly for the movie.
At the end, he goes to hug his mother, and you're not really sure if he remembers that he was asked to do it, or if he just has this feeling that that's what he should do. Yeah,
exactly. One of the sweeter things is when he says there will, he's saying goodbye to himself and his dad and everything. He says that there will be an echo, that all that will be left is an echo. And he tells him, his younger self, hug your mom, okay? And like you said, it's not clear if it was the echo or not, but he kind of stops what he was doing, comes back and gives her a hug around the back. And it was just very, very sweet. It's like, he may not know the whole adventure that we just saw for the last hour and 40 minutes, but enough of it stuck that you get the feeling he's going to have a better relationship with his mother. And though we have no idea what happens all those years in between.
And we have no idea where he ends up landing in terms of his career choices.
Right. But we do see in that, like you were pointing out, the lecture where he meets Zoe Saldana's character, his future wife, when in the past he was talking about himself being so angry and so bitter, and he screwed up in college. At some point he ended up in jail. He seems so much calmer and more mellow than you would imagine a character that angry would be. So I would like to think that the echo of the 12-year-old self had a positive effect, and all those ripples all the way up resulted in a more even-tempered and less troubled Adam as an adult. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, see it. If you've seen it, I hope you enjoy it as much as we did.
It's just a fun movie.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Don't try and break it down and be critical of it. Just have fun for what it is.
Right. And for what it's worth, just like Golden likes to look up the IMDb trivia, I love to look up after the fact what the Rotten Tomatoes were. So this was rated fresh by the critics and fresh by the audience. So I think it was hovering around aggregate score around 70%. So 7 out of 10 critics gave it a positive review. So go in knowing what you're going to get out. This is not going to be some franchised movie that's going to turn in. It's not. It's a fun, one and done dramedy.
It's definitely not going to be a franchise movie since they stopped time travel.
Yeah, considering they ended.
They were successful in their endeavors.
Right. Well, a movie like this, it's not about people failing. It's about getting on the roller coaster and taking the ride. And it was a good ride. I liked the ride. Well, thank you, Golden.
You're welcome.
That's it for this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/168. If you liked this episode, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Your reviews help people who like this stuff find our podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.
The Omega Beam. The Omega Beam. Full stop.